There's no such thing as a colored fag. What? You don't believe me? Walk up to any colored guy and ask him, are you a fag? Your tonsils will be wearing your mustache. Hey, get dinner on the table there. There's no such thing as a colored fag. What? You don't believe me? Walk up to any colored guy and ask him, are you a fag? Your tonsils will be wearing your mustache. Hey, get dinner on the table there. No man wears a purse. Case closed. Oh, Gloria, this is great. Yeah, it's just what I need to keep all my stuff in.
Archie, ain't that beautiful?
Holy cow, a purse. Oh, that's just gorgeous there. To buy a matching pantyhose?
You're really sick.
Archie, this is a bag to carry things in. What's wrong with that? If you don't know, buddy, I'll spell it out. You F-A-G fruit. There you go again. Just because something looks a little bit different to you, you have to put a label on it, right? Well, if the purse fits.
Don't you see how practical this bag is for man? It'd be great even for you. And instead of stuffing your pockets out of shape with your keys and your wallet and your cigars, you could put everything in just one bag.
No man wears a purse. Case closed.
In the olden days, lots of men wore purses.
Like who?
Well, like Robin Hood.
Robin Hood is an English fag. That's why the sheriff run him into the woods.
You are one of the manliest of men. You really are. I say that. But I have a question.
Yes.
I want to show a picture that it was in a magazine or a newspaper, and we found it today.
Okay.
And it's you carrying a purse.
Yeah, yes.
I think you're in Monte Carlo there.
You see the pole? You see the manliness?
No. I'm just. That's a purse. You're carrying a purse.
It
and I'm
is.
just curious, when did that become in?
Well, first of all, you know what? Women have great.
Bruh, nothing's cool about the purse. Ditch the purse. First someone grabs this dude's junk, then now he's walking around wearing a purse.
Ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And they do. And you know what? It's funny because I've been married 26 years, and I'm with my wife, and I'm always like, hey, honey, hold this. Could you hold this? Could you hold that, please? Could you hold this? Can you hold this?
Yes.
And she's like, you're weighing me down.
Yeah.
And you know what? I sat there and I said, you know what?
He said, can you hold this? Can you hold that? Can you hold this? Somebody tried to hold him, and now he's holding the purse.
I need to be independent. I need to take a good idea that it's also a great idea. Put things into a purse so that no one else can hold them, and you can hold them yourself, and you know where everything is. And let me tell you something. It changed my life. I walk around with my clutch bag, my nurse all day, and I'm proud of it.
Another brother walking with a purse. You can't even call them brothers. These dudes are fairy sticks.
A purse. Case closed.
All Baltic want to get eliminated. I'll sauce them in. Baltic want to get. Look sharp about the Baltic want to get. You know what? Them a get me virgin. Sing out the boom bye bye.
They said the definition of a bati boy. I'll break it down for you because I already seen this. A fairy. You don't want to be a Bati boy. A Bati boy is originated from Jamaica, and if you was caught being a Bati boy, you're getting your head sliced. Neck from neck to chest.
In Jamaican English and Creole, a baddie boy is a man considered to be gay, bisexual, or effeminate. The term is considered pejorative. In 2006, Time magazine noted that Jamaica was likely to be the worst place in the Americas for LGBT people and one of the most homophobic places in the world. Sex between men is punishable with up to 10 years in jail. Certain Jamaican music, which features
It said legally in Jamaica, sex between men is punishable by 10 years in jail. But certain Jamaican music features hostility towards homosexuals, such in Chi Chi Man by Pt2, where it threatens to burn gays on fire. Hey, the Bible says that homosexuals are supposed to be put to death. And Boom Bye Bye by Bunji Banton. That's another one that advocates violence against Bati boys. So if you're in the dance hall and you're a Bati boy, then you better get out. Better watch out.
hostility to homosexuals, such as in the T.O.K. song She She Man, which threatens to burn fire on gays and those in their company, employs the term baddie boy to disparage LGBT people. One notorious song, Boom Bye Bye, written by dancey hall musician Budgie Banton, advocates violence against.
In this video, you know, I wanted to fully do this video, but I'm not going to stay on this topic, but this is for those people out there that want to put out that energy where they say worship the queen goddess, or because then ultimately when a masculine embraces his feminine energy, what does that mean? Are you cool with that? Everybody's cool with that? And then that means that the feminine can embrace the masculine.
Against baddie boys, including shooting them in the head and setting them on fire. Boom Bye Bye. In a baddie boy head / rude boy net promote no nasty man. Dem Huffy Dead. Post World War II Jamaican immigrants brought the term baddie boy to the United Kingdom. Contemporary usage has been boosted partly by British comedians such.
There's no way you could say you want to be for the change of the planet and you're down with you're with the proliferation of homosexuality, because homosexuality halts creation. So ultimately, if you like homosexuals, you hate babies.
Baron Cohen and his portrayal of the character Ollie G. The term is also used in North America. In the episode Who I Am of the Fox television.
Like I said, I seen another stream and the person was talking about how we got to worship the feminine energy, and that's just truly wrong. You know, especially when women are walking around acting like men, or they're spreading more of their skin nowadays. Like, I just think that that's a real insane way to look at things. But yeah, I seen another video that I wanted to share with the people.
Welcome back again, everyone. It's Dina Calmet here with CWW7 News. And for today's broadcast, I would like to bring you a quick review in regards to some...
Well, I'm pretty sure the screen's kind of reading it backwards, so you're not going to... Here, it says, starting from the top. Israel strikes Syria in rare daytime attack. Syria fires at Golan. Trump says U.S. will develop space-based missile defense. Russia says new U.S. missile strategy will unleash race arms in space. U.S. destroyer enters Black Sea to support regional partners. Russia sends ship to monitor. Russian senator says U.S. warship in Black Sea should keep its distance. And on the bottom it says Russia deploys nuclear-capable ballistics missile launcher near Ukrainian border. So, World War III is about to start.
Events that have occurred in the last couple of days. We're going to talk about the United States, Russia, Ukraine, as well as Israel and Syria. But I first would like to take you to this report in regards to Russia. Fox News is reporting that satellite images shot on Thursday and obtained by Fox News have revealed a new Russian deployment of Iskander missile batteries and launchers near the border with Ukraine. The images show an Iskander compound with a few bunkers and another compound of hangars. Near the launcher, there is a transloader vehicle which enables quick reloading of the missiles onto the launcher. One of the bunker's doors open, another reloading vehicle is still exiting from it. The Iskander ballistic missile has a range up to 310 miles and can carry both unconventional as well as nuclear warheads, putting most of America's NATO allies at risk. The second deployment is near the border of Mongolia in southern Russia, where there are 4 launchers and another reloading vehicle. Earlier this week, Secretary of Russia's Security Council said authorities of the former Soviet Republic are being controlled by the West, warning it stands to lose its independence and identity as a consequence. The continuation of such policy by the Ukrainian authorities can contribute to the loss of Ukraine's statehood. Just this week, a Moscow court has extended the detention of 8 captured Ukrainian sailors despite protests from Kyiv in the West. And RT News is reporting that the destroyer USS Donald Cook has entered the Black Sea.
Look at it. Look at it. That's one heavy piece of machinery that can take out an American state.
Than 2 weeks after another U.S. Navy vessel was deployed there. Moscow says it will watch the actions of the U.S. ship closely. The guided missile destroyer was sent to the Black Sea to conduct maritime security operations and enhance regional maritime stability, stated the U.S. Sixth Fleet, adding that it would strengthen the naval capability.
Oh, correction. Yeah, that's one of ours. So that could take out a Russian state. Hey, either way, some stuff's about to pop off.
Ability of the U.S. NATO allies and partners in the region.
This is mostly for the scoffers and the people that's out there that says, "Oh no, that's not real," or "That's happened before." This doesn't seem precedented.
The United States and the U.S. Navy continue to stand alongside our allies and partners in support of shared regional interests and maritime stability. Our arrival into the Black Sea will showcase the Navy's pursuit of common security objectives in this region, stated Commander Matthew Powell, commanding officer of the Donald Cook. It goes on further to report that it is the second such deployment in less than 2 weeks, as earlier in January, the Whidbey Island-class dock landing ship was deployed to the Black Sea where its crew trained together with the sailors in the Romanian Navy. The U.S. Navy statement said the U.S. military vessels are routine deployment to the Black Sea and is in full accordance with international law. The Russian Navy dispatched a patrol vessel to monitor the actions of the U.S. destroyer as it entered the Black Sea water. It has also used additional electronic and technical means to monitor the situation. Under the international law, the U.S. ships are allowed to stay in the waters of the Black Sea for more than 21 days. And Reuters is reporting that a Russian senator has stated that the U.S. warship in the Black Sea should keep its distance. The prominent Russian senator stated that the U.S. warships have nothing to do with U.S. security and are motivated by domestic politics. U.S. warships are becoming frequent visitors to the Black Sea. These visits have nothing to do with U.S. security. They flaunt their flag, send us a signal, and appease their own senators, who are demanding they send a whole military fleet to the Black Sea. They should keep away from our coastline. Russia stated on Friday that
Did anybody hear that correct? They just said that the senators are sending warships over to the Black Sea just to show their flag. For what? Especially if Trump is being allocated or allegedly a cohort of Russia. Is there no way that he could reach Putin on the phone, or he can't see who's controlling these warships or sending the order? What's going on there?
Their own senators, who are demanding they send a whole military fleet to the Black Sea. They should keep away from our coastline. Russia stated on Friday that the new U.S. missile defense strategy would unleash a dangerous arms race in space and amounts to a relaunch of the Cold War-era Star Wars program. President Trump on Thursday laid out plans for a new array of space-based sensors and high-tech systems designed to more quickly detect and defeat attacks. Trump, in his speech at the Pentagon, declared that space is a new warfighting domain, and he vowed that the United States
They had space-based weapons in Tom Clancy's End War. They had space-based weapons in Homefront. At the end of the trailer, if you check out Homefront trailer on YouTube, in fact, we could probably check it out after this.
Will develop an unrivaled missile defense system to protect against advanced hypersonic and cruise missile threats from competitors and adversaries.
Because the reason I'm even saying anything about that is the fact that that means that they've been had the ideology, the idea to make space-based weapons, or who's to say that the space-based weapons haven't already been up there and they're just now wanting to tell the public that they want to start using these things.
He said our goal is simple, to ensure that we can detect and destroy any missile launched against the United States, anywhere, anytime, any place. In a time of rapidly evolving threats, we must be certain that
that thing looks like a big-ass tracking drone. That's all it looks like to me. A big tracking satellite.
Detect and destroy any missile launched.
It's supposed to be able to trace missiles, but it's going to be eventually used to trace the population.
Against the United States, anywhere, anytime, any place. In a time of rapidly evolving threats, we must be certain that our defense capabilities are unrivaled and unmatched anywhere in the world. Trump did not mention Russia, China, or North Korea in his roughly 20-minute speech, but the Pentagon's new strategy makes clear that its plan...
No, because from what I'm hearing, he wants to build an entry-exit visa tracking system for America. So it's going to be on land, on air, on land and air and in sea. So that's what this is for. That's why he didn't have to bring up Russia or North Korea. He's not going to bring up those. This is for America. Listen again.
Advanced hypersonic and cruise missile threats from competitors and adversaries. He said our goal is simple, to ensure that we can detect and destroy any missile launched against the United States, anywhere, anytime, any place. In a time of rapidly evolving threats, we must be certain that our defense capabilities are unrivaled and unmatched anywhere in the world. Trump did not mention Russia, China, or North Korea in his roughly 20-minute speech, but the Pentagon's new strategy makes clear that its plan for a more aggressive space-based missile defense system is aimed at protecting against existing threats from North Korea and Iran and countering advanced weapon systems being developed by Russia and China. A statement issued by the Russian Foreign Ministry condemned the strategy as irresponsible and an act of confrontation, but made no mention of Moscow reciprocating.
Yeah, because they're saying, well, why would you be the only one to have a satellite over your continent, over North America? Why wouldn't we have a satellite over ours? So now that's where a space race or a new Cold War begins.
With new plans to develop its own nuclear capability. Instead, the ministry called on Washington to think again, backtrack from its plans, and engage in talks with Moscow to find agreement on how to manage the world's nuclear.
Once again, this has all started since the legalization of same-sex marriage. Once same-sex marriage came upon the land, that cursed the land.
missile arsenal. The Russian statement said the strategy...
In fact, I say the enslavement of God's people and people being hung and beaten and shot and killed for no reason, that's another reason.
De facto gives the green light to the prospect of basing missile strike capabilities in space. The implementation of these ideas will inevitably lead to the start of an arms race in space, which will have the most negative consequences for international security and stability. We would like to call on the U.S. administration to think again and walk away from this irresponsible attempt to relaunch on a new and more high-tech basis the still remembered Reagan-era Star Wars program. Meanwhile, the United States will begin its withdrawal from the INF Treaty with Russia on February 2nd under Secretary of State for Arms.
You know the bad part or the beautiful part? I was thinking about this like yesterday. I was like 12 years old. I went to the comic shop and coming home from school, some guy in the car drove by and said, "That's why niggers are dumb." And I was like, wow, well, what did I do to provoke that? Why would I get something like that for reading a comic book? Well, now years later, I see that the comic book became a movie. They make movies out of comic books. The comic book became a movie, and it looked like that guy got a role in it. So, in some form or way, that was like a form of mockery. They was like making fun of me in some way. Well, they can't make fun of this. This is gonna meet they're gonna meet their demise through this, huh? Make fun of that.
Control Andrea Thompson that relayed the information to NATO officials in Brussels. Washington's unilateral withdrawal from the treaty, originally signed by the United States and Russia in 1987, comes after negotiations in Geneva, Switzerland, fell through on Tuesday. So obviously this is not a very good situation for Russia. I was hoping that they would actually be able to sit down and talk, and I thought it was a good idea to
make America great again, huh? and black people are bad, huh? All we do is rob and steal and eat chicken and be losers. Well, who's fitting to blow up the world? These don't look like black people to me.
Include China, Iran, North Korea, and Russia.
China, Iran, and North Korea. Iran, the Middle East. I was just in a debate with someone a little while ago where they was telling me that Jesus looked like he was Middle Eastern because some Middle Eastern people have woolly hair. Well, let me tell you this. The Middle Easterns are the ones that's about to help blow up the planet. So I don't think the Most High is coming back looking like no Middle Eastern person. You got woolly hair.
In the INF Treaty, but it does.
Neither one of these scumbags got any woolly hair. Look at them. Look at them.
Doesn't look like that's going to happen, and February 2nd is fast approaching, but I will definitely continue to keep you updated. However, I would like to switch gears and talk about Israel next. The Jerusalem Post is reporting Iron Dome missile defense system intercepted a projectile launched from Syria after Damascus accused Jerusalem of carrying out a rare daytime attack on the south of the country on Sunday. The interception came shortly after the Syrian regime...
No. Israel did hit Iran, and the commander that sent the order said, "Don't mess with the dragon's tail," which means that he's willing to hit again.
Accused Israel of carrying out airstrikes in the south of the country, triggering air defenses that intercepted several of them. The Syrian news agency stated that a military source said that our air defenses had successfully engaged an Israeli aerial attack targeting the southern region and prevented it from achieving any of its objectives. Hezbollah's media network did report that the attack near Damascus occurred, but gave no further details. The Syrian regime supporters said that a total of 9 Israeli missiles were intercepted by the regime air defenses. Russia's Ministry of Defense, according to the RIA news agency, said 4 Israeli jets fired 7 missiles at the international airport. causing no injuries to Syrian nationals. The Syrian regime used the Buck and Pantsir systems to intercept the missiles, according to Sputnik News. And it doesn't stop there. RT News is reporting that Israel launched another barrage against Iranian targets in Syria later in the evening and warned against retaliation.
All we have to do is repent and make good with our Lord and Savior. Make good with our Creator. Because you're going to meet your Maker. We're all going to meet our Maker. You want to make sure you have a personal connection with Him. You want to make sure you try to talk to Him every day. I say Him because they always say it's the Father. The Mother's the earth. The Father He blew His breath of life onto the earth.
Syrian air defense systems have repelled an attack in the skies over Damascus, stated the news agency. The Israeli army said it was attacking Iranian forces and warned the Syrian military not to retaliate. The military source cited by SANA said that Syrian air defenses intercepted most of the Israeli missiles before they hit targets. The source also stated that Israel launched guided missiles from the ground and air in several rounds. In a brief statement on Twitter, the IDF warned the Syrian army again.
Could you imagine the actual population? The population wasn't even expecting to get hit. You see what I mean? Like the government may have known that they was about to indulge in the war, but the people that was below, they didn't know nothing was about to go down.
Against attempting to harm Israeli forces or territory. Witnesses on the ground reported hearing explosions over Damascus ring out through the city. The attacks reportedly proceeded deep into the night and stopped around 2 a.m. local time. SANA cited its own correspondent reporting that missiles were flying over the Lebanese territory and the Galilee Panhandle, the northernmost part of Israel bordering Lebanon. So definitely a very serious situation what's happening in Syria. And Israel is not going to stop striking.
And that's why we're over here not knowing what's going on, because our news don't tell us nothing. It's like you got to look up this type of stuff. You got to check this type of stuff out. You may think, oh, it's fake news, but what's actually fake news is who cares about what's going on in the R. Kelly documentary. Nobody gives a goddamn what's going on with R. Kelly. R. Kelly already got the girls. He already raped them or did whatever the hell everybody's accusing him of. Now the girls got a documentary. The documentary is pretty much about what the girls' mentality was. Now, a whole bunch of garbage. Anyway, we better start watching out, because anytime something breaks out, they throw some clowns in front of our face. Bread and circuses. Anybody ever know about that? They put some clowns in front of our face, and then we get distracted. So keep your eyes open. Check this out.
In Syria, as long as Iran is there, regardless of what Russia says. So this could definitely potentially lead us into some biblical wars in the near future. Now, hopefully...
Well, she didn't have to read no scripture. She didn't say nothing about the Bible too much. But she know these wars are going to be biblical. You know what a biblical war is? You know how many deaths there's going to be in a biblical war?
As long as Iran is there, regardless of what Russia says. So this could definitely potentially lead us into some biblical wars in the near future. Now, hopefully that won't happen anytime soon, but eventually
it doesn't matter if you want it to happen. Heck, I may not want it to happen. It's happening. Everything's playing out. You understand? You're not behind the government. I'm not behind the government. And they're still getting they're pressing them buttons. Them missiles are flying. Them missiles are flying, baby.
Reported hearing explosions over Damascus ring out through the city.
Them missiles is flying. She said, hopefully this don't happen. It's too late. It's already happening.
And it doesn't stop there. RT News is reporting that Israel launched another barrage against Iranian targets in Syria later in the evening and warned against retaliation. Syrian air defense systems have repelled an attack in the skies over Damascus, stated the news agency. The Israeli army said it was attacking Iranian forces and warned the Syrian military not to retaliate. The military source cited by SANA said that Syrian air air defenses intercepted most of the Israeli missiles before they hit targets. The source also stated that Israel launched guided missiles from the ground and air in several rounds. In a brief statement on Twitter, the IDF warned the Syrian army against attempting to harm Israeli forces or territory. Witnesses on the ground reported hearing explosions over Damascus ring out through the city. The attacks reportedly proceeded deep into the night and stopped around 2 a.m. local time. SANA cited its own correspondent reporting that missiles were flying over the Lebanese territory.
Wait, say that again, please. One more time. Insane.
Warned the Syrian army against attempting to harm Israeli forces or territory. Witnesses on the ground reported hearing explosions over Damascus ring out through the city. The attacks reportedly proceeded deep into the night and stopped around 2 a.m. local time. SANA cited...
But what time did the attack start? I didn't even hear that. They didn't say what time the attack started. And then it stopped all the way at 2 o'clock. Wow. Wow. So that means at 2 o'clock at night, they got finished throwing the missiles, but you had to clean up the rubble. You had to find the dead people, and you either had to sleep with the dead bodies at 2 o'clock in the morning, or you was going to have to search the rubble. Insane.
Its own correspondent reporting that missiles were flying over the Lebanese territory and the Galilee Panhandle, the northernmost part of Israel bordering Lebanon. So definitely a very serious situation what's happening in Syria. And Israel is not going to stop striking in Syria as long as Iran is there, regardless of what Russia says. So this could definitely potentially...
What?
Syria. And Israel is not going to stop striking in Syria as long as Iran is there, regardless of what Russia says. So this could definitely potentially lead us into some biblical wars in the near future. Now, hopefully that won't happen anytime soon, but eventually it will because it is prophesied. But I will definitely continue to keep you updated. I just wanted to bring you guys this quick report today and get you caught up on these headlines. I'd love to hear what you think, so please do leave your comments in the comment section. Also, if you have a chance, come and visit us on Facebook, where we have these stories and many more, as well as our website at www.cww7news.org. All right.
It's turning up. It's turning up. Life's turning into a real movie. This stuff is actually gonna be happening in people's backyards. This is the movie Pompeii. A flood in Indonesia. Washing away their cars. Look, other people just sitting there walking by like it's normal. Indonesia. And please don't think, oh wow, why am I seeing this? Or what? This is gonna happen to America. You just haven't seen it yet, because right now all the spirits are on the other side of the planet. They're cleansing that side. Once they get over here to this side, they're gonna do some damage. Did you see Paradise, California? Or Alabama. Alabama just got hit with a tornado that messed that place up. Indonesia. Like somebody broke 3 hydrants and left on the bathtub in their shower. These people are done. And imagine, and once this hits America, people will not be prepared, because people are used to being materialistic, looking in their cell phones and into their technology. Technology is being erased, people. Nature's winning. Giant anaconda in the flood. Hey, what if the flood didn't happen? That thing would probably be hiding somewhere in the bush somewhere. Somebody wouldn't even see it. That thing would be somewhere hiding in the greenery. It took a flood to actually bring out that monster. Rewind that back. Look at that. Look at the length of that. That thing could eat 4 people. Look at that. A giant anaconda.
दूजा इधर आ सकती हो।
Major flooding here in Coronado. The street looks like a river. Crazy. Hang in there, high tide. There's Clayton and Collins. Just left the brigantine. And I have no idea why we are driving down the street. We did not know this was bad.
The whole globe is being transformed. That was the last place was Argentina. The place before was Brazil. Monsoons, rain, floods, they're all coming because of racism. Racism and hatred that's been protruded upon the black man and black woman. Now, other races, you better get right. You better start changing your ways. If you don't, you're going to be eradicated off the planet. Look, check this out. This is in California. They could have used all this rain. They could have used all this water during them fires.
Crazy.
December 6, 2018. They're driving through this monsoon, this flood. They're crazy.
There's Clayton and Collins. Just left the brigantine. And I have no idea why we are driving down the street. We did not know it was this bad.
That's a dust devil. I want to go back to the hail, because it says anyone that receives the mark of the beast, the microchip that they're coming out with, the RFID, if anyone receives that, they're going to have hailstones fall upon them that weigh a talent. A talent is 1,000 pounds. Yeah, imagine that falling on your head. Imagine that falling on your head. You receive that mark of the beast, that microchip.
Mojolangu, Kecamatan Lokwaru, iya, bisa berenang. Kulkas. Ini yang tadinya jadi kamar tamunya gelap juga. Jadi tamu jadi sini dulu ya, tamu. Aduh.
Dampak banjir salah satunya adalah rumah Bapak Siami.
Seen here hitting power lines.
On the roads right now, you see it right there. The storm slammed into Virginia, North Carolina, dumped 2 feet of snow in some areas.
And take a look at a tree collapsing on this abandoned car in North Carolina. Rob is there.
Imagine being in that car. Hey, nature's, the Most High is messing you other races up to a perpetual perfect. Due to your racism. Look, China, done. Just seeing Argentina, done. Brazil, done. Indonesia, done. Just holding an umbrella over America for a little bit of time. And actually it's about to get pulled. Because that's why Donald Trump's doing what he's doing.
Wegen des starken Sturms war der Betrieb schon am frühen Sonntagmorgen eingestellt worden.
Germany. Yeah, look, beginning. California. America. That's somebody's new car is sinking into a hole, a sinkhole. Meanwhile, the water's flooding. California went from burning to flooding. The home of pornography. The home of Hollywood. Hollywood is a sick curse. Heavy snowfall in Russia leaves sheep frozen. You ain't gotta listen to me, it's right there in front of you. That's the Colorado sky. What can make the skyline that color? And then this weird shape in the cloud. That's how you know there's a shift in consciousness in the planet. Check out the ape. The ape took the photo stick, took the camera stick from the human. The human got a little bit scared, like, oh no, it's gonna break my phone. Then the other ape came over and said, no, give it back. You know what that means? You know what that means? Even the animal kingdom knows that you don't take something. They know stealing's wrong. How much thievery have you other races done? Yeah, you come out and say it. How much thievery? They're saying that the Russians helped Trump steal the seat. They've been stealing a lot more way before Trump even got into office. and an ape in a cage that you kept in captivity that was hoping to go home off of its kind gesture, still in the cage, is more intelligent than you humans. I can't even call you humans. You stingy creatures. You nasty, repugnant people. Look at that. Look at that. That's horrible. Look, and that the other one wasn't even gonna break it. He was just playing with it. Look. He said, no, you're back. So maybe they'll let us out. That's a mom reprimanding her child. Hey, it says giant panda mother shows cub what tough love can be. And I don't even think that's what it was. It was probably like maybe that bear was playing rough with another bear cub, or maybe that he was playing rough with his mother or being disrespectful some way. And now she's roughing him up. That's what it says. It says the mother seems to be disciplining the cub or trying to teach. She was reprimanding him. And then he jumped on her and started playing with her, and then he went off playing. That's another thing. Maybe she was teaching him. Either way, this world should know. This world should know better. Stealing, if the ape knows not to steal, then people should know not to steal. And people are stealing people at this point.
One Arkansas lawmaker is looking to get ahead of an merging technology. Representative Stephen Meeks wants to pass the first law in the U.S. regulating microchip implants in people. Some companies, both in the U.S. and worldwide, actually microchip their employees. It allows them to do things like open doors, log on to computers, even buy snacks from vending machines, as you saw in the video. Meeks' bill would allow companies to offer microchips to employees, but not force them to use them.
Here is to set the ground rules before the technology comes to our state to protect work.
Revelation 13 and 16. He causes all, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, and that no one may buy or sell except the person who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. What are they doing? Buying? Let's check it out again.
One Arkansas lawmaker is looking to get ahead of an merging technology. Representative Stephen Meeks wants to pass the first law in the U.S. regulating microchip implants in people. Some companies, both in the U.S. and worldwide, actually microchip their employees. It allows them to do things like open doors, log on to computers, even buy snacks from vending machines, as you saw in the video. Meeks' bill would allow companies to offer microchips to employees, but not force them to use them.
They're not forcing people yet, but they're going to make it mandatory. Give it a next terrorist attack, or probably by 2020. You don't know. It's going to be mandatory at some point. So says the Bible. It also says Revelations 14 and 9. A third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if anyone worships the beast and his image. His image is a cyborg, an android that they're making. An android, they have a prototype called Sophia. There'll be an image of this beast, but once you receive the mark or worship this cyborg, you will be exempt from entering the kingdom of heaven. So says the Bible. Revelations 14:9. Then a loud voice followed them, saying, if anyone worships the beast and his image and receives his mark on their forehead or on their hand, they themselves shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out full strength into his cup of indignation. He shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and the presence of the Lamb, and the smoke of their torment ascends forever and ever. Forever? Forever, ever? Forever, ever? Yeah, just like that. Anybody that gets that mark, that microchip that they're putting up there on the screen, and they have no rest day or night, who worship the beast and his image, and whoever receives his mark of his name. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are those who keep the commandment of God and the faith of Jesus. So, don't get the microchip if you want to make it to your maker. Because once you make it to your maker, if you get that chip, your maker's not going to want to receive you.
Is to set the ground rules before the technology comes to our state to protect workers.
The legislation also requires the company to pay to remove the implant if an employee leaves.
I don't think I want to be microchipped.
It's the book of Revelations, chapter 13, and verse 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads.
This is something that you can use just like a key badge.
At a recent tech conference, Hannes Schoblad explained how a microchip implanted in his hand makes his life easier. It replaces all the keys and cards that used to clutter his pockets.
I use this many times a day. For example, to unlock my smartphone, to open the door to my office.
Schoblad calls himself a biohacker.
We biohackers, we think that the human body is a good start, but there is certainly room for improvement.
The first step in that improvement is getting a microchip about the size of a grain of rice slipped under the skin. Suddenly, the touch of a hand is enough to tell the office printer this is an authorized user. The microchips are radio frequency identification tags, the same technology widely used in things like key cards. The chips have been implanted in animals for years to help identify lost pets.
He's reading into this thing, and of course Autism Speaks and others are all for this. And they want this desperately because wandering is a serious problem. We want to get our loved ones, find our loved ones who have developmental disabilities or have Alzheimer's, and make sure they get back to a safe and secure environment as quickly as possible. This is a bipartisan bill. Senator Grassley on the Senate side and Chuck Schumer sponsored it on the Senate side. Maxine Waters, it's the left, right, middle, everybody in between. This is about helping people who are at grave risk when they wander.
The word which God sent.
The reason I heard about this bill, my staff tells me we just got a call from someone who has an autistic child, and they are scared to death that the federal government is going to start a tracking program for kids with autism. And yet they'll provision in here that it's supposed to be voluntary, but once you have the system in place, I can guarantee you, I've seen programs like this get started, and when I'm a judge and law officers come in and say, this person's a threat, they swear to it, the evidence is in the affidavit, then yes, I will give them a warrant to go use whatever they say they believe will be the best way to handle the situation.
I'm just here getting gas, man. As you can see, they have the payway symbol. Alright? If you brothers know about that, you can basically find it anywhere right now. So pretty soon, you're going to need that RFID chip or NFC chip to purchase gas. Alright?
Moving on to our top international story this hour, we are following some disturbing news out of the tech world, as this week the Confederation of British Industry, or CBI, issued a warning about the future of microchips in the workplace. According to The Guardian, a British company has already fitted 150 implants in the UK alone. Biotech's chips, according to its website, quote, store a range of encrypted personal data from bank account details and passwords to medical data or Bitcoin wallet details. The device is implanted between the thumb and forefinger, and depending on which kit you choose, costs between $90 and just over $330. The CBI, which represents 140 trade associations and 190,000 businesses, told The Guardian, quote, while technology is changing the way we work, this makes for distinctly uncomfortable reading. Firms should be concentrating on rather more immediate priorities and focusing on engaging their employees. The organization is concerned that employers could eventually force workers to be chipped, the way you may chip your pets, for example. The Secretary General of the Trade Union Congress in the UK added, quote, microchipping would give bosses even more power and control over their workers. There are obvious risks involved, and employers must not brush them aside or pressure staff into being chipped. Now, you might be thinking such concerns sound hyperbolic, but you would actually be sadly mistaken. Believe it or not, companies have already started microchipping employees. For example, a cafeteria kiosk producer in River Falls, Wisconsin, chipped employees last year.
There are governments that run central banks. They were one of the first ones to call us to say, we've got to control our employees, and we need to have certain access levels, and we can't have that compromise, and they saw that as a solution. They need that. They need those controls.
Joining us now with the future of microchipping in question is former UK Member of Parliament, George Galloway. All right, George, how difficult is it really to remember banking information? I mean, do you think average people really want these chips?
Well, I'm sure not. I mean, beasts are branded and slaves are enchained. This is, I suppose, the next stage. The wage slave will be microchipped. And the employer, imagine Amazon, just for an example, other brands are available, employing 500,000 people, every one of them, one day perhaps microchipped. So the company will not be able just to employ you at rock bottom rates. It will know how long you went to the toilet for, electronically. I might even know what you did there. It is grotesque, it is obscene, it is, on the face of it, ridiculous, except, as you've just pointed out, it's already happening. And even here in Britain, it's happening in the United States. It's happening in the tech industries already. And of course, it's all very well saying it's voluntary, but when you're a wage slave, voluntary doesn't mean much. If it's get this job and sign up for the chip, or don't get the job, well, people will take the chip.
What concerns do you have about this technology, and are you confident in the British government's ability to regulate these chips?
I wouldn't be confident in the British government's ability to regulate fish and chips, never mind microchips. And indeed, the British government might be gone by the end of the week. No, I am not at all confident. But it is come to something when the CBI, which is the employers, the bosses' organization, are expressing their anxiety and unease about this move.
One Arkansas lawmaker is looking to get ahead of an emerging technology. Representative Stephen Meeks wants to pass the first law in the U.S. regulating microchip implants in people. Some companies, both in the U.S. and worldwide, actually microchip their employees. It allows them to do things like open doors, log on to computers, even buy snacks from vending machines, as you saw in the video. Meeks' bill would allow companies to offer microchips to employees, but not force them to use them.
Here is to set the ground rules before the technology comes to our state to protect workers.
The legislation also requires the company to pay to remove the implant if an employee leaves.
I don't think I want to be microchipped.
It's the book of Revelations, chapter 13, and verse 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many will not worship the image of the beast should be healed. And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads.
This is something that you can use just like a key badge.
At a recent tech conference, Hannes Schoblood explained how a microchip implanted in his hand makes his life easier. It replaces all the keys and cards that used to clutter his pockets.
I use this many times a day. For example, to unlock my smartphone, to open the door to my office.
Schoblood calls himself a biohacker.
We biohackers, we think that the human body is a good start, but there is certainly room for improvement.
The first step in that improvement is getting a microchip about the size of a grain of rice slipped under the skin.
Number 8, we will finally complete the biometric entry-exit visa tracking system, which we need desperately. For years, Congress has required biometric entry-exit visa tracking systems, but it has never been completed. The politicians are all talk, no action, never happens, never happens. Hillary Clinton, all talk. Unfortunately, when there is action, it's always the wrong decision. Do you ever notice? In my administration, we will ensure that this system is in place. And I will tell you, it will be on land, it will be on sea, it will be in air. We will have a proper tracking system. Approximately half of new illegal immigrants came on temporary visas and then never ever left. Why should they? Nobody's telling them to leave. Stay as long as you want. We'll take care of you. Beyond violating our laws, visa overstays pose, and they really are a big problem, pose a substantial threat to national security. The 9/11 Commission said that this tracking system should be a high priority and would have assisted law enforcement and intelligence officials in August and September 2001 in conducting a search for 2 of the 9/11 hijackers that were in the United States on expired visas. And you know what that would have meant. Number 8, we will finally complete the biometric entry-exit visa tracking system, which we need desperately. For years, Congress has required biometric entry-exit visa tracking systems, but it has never been completed. The politicians are all talk, no action, never happens, never happens.
you at home, and even the guys here in the studio, a question. Let's say your boss offered you an easier way to log onto your computer in the morning or bypass having to get change for the vending machine or even get through a secure door by having a microchip planted in your hand. Anyone? Yes? Anyone? No! Yeah, well, it's apparently happening, and not everybody's happy about the idea.
President Trump's son-in-law has a 41-story size problem at 666 Fifth Avenue. Jared Kushner's company still holds half of the $1.2 billion mortgage and hasn't paid a cent, forcing the Kushners to look overseas for investors. 666 Fifth Avenue, a prime piece of New York City's skyline, just 6 blocks from Central Park. Jared Kushner decided to make it his trophy in 2007.
This was the deal that put Jared on the throne. I think every dynasty wants to own a piece of Manhattan.
To get the seller's attention, Kushner offered a big price, $1.8 billion, a record at the time. And the 26-year-old CEO of Kushner Companies borrowed aggressively to get the deal done.
They paid a peak price. Prices for real estate were especially inflated at the time.
Those prices tanked shortly after the purchase as the financial crisis set in. The entire deal was a miscalculation.
They had absolutely paid too much at the time. He bought at the very top of the market. So then the market turned. You're not going to get the rent appreciation that you were probably projecting in 2007.
To raise cash, the Kushners sold off some of the building's retail space and later had to bring in a partner. After the deal with the Chinese company fell through, the Kushners told us that they were talking to other bidders, but they wouldn't say who, and analysts aren't counting the Kushners out.
Turkish official is telling the Associated Press, and we have just received this, police have found evidence missing writer Jamal Khashoggi was killed inside the Saudi consulate. All of this as Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is in Saudi Arabia meeting with the prince and the king over Khashoggi's disappearance.
U.S. intelligence officials have concluded that Saudi Arabia's crown prince was behind the journalist's killing.
There's a lot of money that wants into New York and that will pay prices that some people will view as wow, that's unreal.
Jared Kushner sold his stake in the building to avoid the obvious conflict of interest. The family, after all, might have to take foreign money to make the deal profitable. But Kushner's proximity to power might also help attract that money.
You have someone connected to the president, right? That could bring in lenders, that could bring in a foreign partner that might be interested in getting an audience with Trump.
Nobody's concluded. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to conclude that the crown prince did it. But I will say this, I don't know. I don't know. But whether he did or whether he didn't, he denies it vehemently. His father denies it, the king, vehemently. The CIA doesn't say they did it. They do point out certain things, and in pointing out those things, you can conclude that maybe he did or maybe he didn't. Saudi Arabia is tremendously helpful in the Middle East. If we didn't have Saudi Arabia, we wouldn't have a big base. We wouldn't have any reason, probably. I mean, if you look at Israel, Israel would be in big trouble without Saudi Arabia. So what does that mean? Israel's going to leave? We want Israel to leave? We have a very strong ally in Saudi Arabia. We have an ally that said they did not commit at the top level, the crown prince, the king. They did not commit this atrocity, and it's an atrocity. It's a terrible thing. I dislike it more than you do. Okay?
Who should be held accountable?
Maybe the world should be held accountable, because the world is a vicious place. The world is a very, very vicious place. Number 8, we will finally complete the biometric entry-exit visa tracking system, which we need desperately. For years, Congress has required biometric entry-exit visa tracking systems, but it has never been completed. The politicians are all talk, no action, never happens, never happens. Hillary Clinton, all talk. Unfortunately, when there is action, it's always the wrong decision. Do you ever notice? In my administration, Number 8, we will finally complete the biometric entry-exit visa tracking system, which we need desperately. For years, Congress has required biometric entry-exit visa tracking systems, but it has never been completed. The politicians are all talk, no action, never happens, never happens. Hillary Clinton, all talk. Unfortunately, when there is action, it's always the wrong decision. Do you ever notice? In my administration, we will ensure that this system is in place. And I will tell you, it will be on land, it will be on sea, it will be in air. We will have a proper tracking system.
The White House hosts
the biometric entry-exit visa tracking system, which we need desperately. For years, Congress has required biometric entry-exit visa tracking systems, but it has never been completed. The politicians are all talk, no action, never happens, never happens. Hillary Clinton, all talk. Unfortunately, when there is action, it's always the wrong decision. Do you ever notice? In my administration, we will ensure that this system is in place. And I will tell you, it will be on land, it will be on sea, it will be in air. We will have a proper tracking system.
The White House hosted a group of more than 40 Silicon Valley heavyweights and other major business leaders in the United States in an effort to plot a course forward on American development of artificial intelligence. The Trump administration on Thursday announcing it is establishing a panel of federal officials to focus on AI issues and work with the private sector, in part to keep up with the growing competition from China. The meeting comes as welcome news to tech firms, while many in the U.S. are urging President Donald Trump to improve his frosty relationship with leaders of Silicon Valley. A great deal is at stake. Indeed, the future of many industries that include driverless vehicles, biometric identification, and robotics. Indeed, the future of many industries that include driverless vehicles, biometric identification, and robotics. Indeed, the future of many industries that include driverless vehicles, biometric identification, and robotics. That include driverless vehicles, biometric identification, and robotics.
Biometrics all over, people. Biometrics.
Number 8, we will finally complete the biometric entry-exit visa tracking system, which we need desperately. For years, Congress has required biometric entry-exit visa tracking systems, but it has never been completed. The politicians are all talk, no action, never happens, never happens. Hillary Clinton, all talk. Unfortunately, when there is action, it's always the wrong decision. Do you ever notice? In my administration, we will ensure that this system is in place. And I will tell you, it will be on land, it will be on sea, it will be in air. We will have a proper tracking system.
The White House hosted a group of more than 40 Silicon Valley heavyweights and other major business leaders in the United States in an effort to plot a course forward on American development of artificial intelligence. The Trump administration on Thursday announcing it is establishing a panel of federal officials to focus on AI issues and work with the private sector, in part to keep up with the growing competition from China. The meeting comes as welcome news to tech firms, while many in the U.S. are urging President Donald Trump to improve his frosty relationship with leaders of Silicon Valley. A great deal is at stake. Indeed, the future of many industries that include driverless vehicles, biometric identification, and robotics. Indeed, the future of many industries that include driverless vehicles, biometric identification, and robotics. Indeed, the future of many industries that include driverless vehicles, biometric identification, and robotics.
You know, if you go out and you want to buy groceries, you need a picture on a card. You need ID. You go out and you want to buy anything, you need ID, and you...
When the hell do you need ID to buy groceries or buy anything? Cigarettes and beer, one thing. You don't need ID to buy eggs and milk.
Go out and you want to buy groceries, you need a picture on a card. You need ID. You go out and you want to buy anything, you need ID and you need your picture.
Implanting microchips in its employees, in the skin of their hands. The latest office innovation is a microchip implanted in the skin.
This is the first American company to ever try this.
Mr. Trump defended Kushner in this statement to the New York Times, saying, quote, "Jared is doing a great job for the country. I have total confidence in him."
I have determined that it is time to officially recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel.
He was cautioned not to do it by advisors and world leaders alike, but today President Trump insisted 22 years of doing the same thing in Israel has yielded nothing in terms of peace, so he is going to shake it up.
Last year, President Trump announced to the world that the United States would finally recognize the truth, that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel.
U.S. President Donald Trump's son-in-law / advisor Jared Kushner was in Jerusalem and the Palestinian territories on Wednesday in an attempt to breathe new life into a long, comatose peace process between the Palestinians and Israelis. Kushner met in Jerusalem with Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for several hours. Following that meeting, he traveled to the West Bank city of Ramallah, where he met with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. The leaders on all sides and Kushner did not deliver any statements following those meetings. They did not give any indication of progress in their talks. U.S. President Trump has long said that he believes he could create, quote-unquote, an amazing peace process between the two sides. However, no details of what that process entails have been released.
After you declared, Mr. President, Jerusalem as Israel's capital, and this was a historic proclamation, followed by your bold decision to move the embassy by our upcoming National Independence Day. I want to tell you that the Jewish people have a long memory. So we remember the proclamation of the great king, Cyrus the Great, Persian king, 2,500 years ago.
President Trump's first trip abroad placed him at the Vatican today, marking Mr. Trump's first meeting with the leader of the Catholic Church.
And his wife dressed in black. What's up with that? His daughter too. Why are they all dressed in black like they're
President
mourning?
Trump raising new questions this evening after what he said during a photo op, summoning reporters, telling them this was the calm before the storm.
What?
And hinted at some sort of oncoming storm.
During a photo op in the White House dining room, President Trump made this puzzling comment.
You guys know what this represents? Well, maybe it's the calm before the storm.
Pretty disturbing comment.
Maybe
while
it's
surrounded,
the
of course,
calm
by his
before the
military leaders,
storm.
Secretary of Defense, National Security Advisor.
Yeah,
all
now we
these
got to shut down government.
I share the question that was raised in that room, Margaret. What storm is the president?
They're saving up money. They shut down the government to save up money so they can start World War III.
Referring to?
The White House is refusing to clarify what the president meant, and if you play out that full tape, you had reporters repeatedly say to the president, "Sir, what storm? Which storm?"
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
But he says, we'll see.
You'll find out.
At the busiest airport in the world, Terminal F check-in is now as simple as look, smile, and click.
Found you real fast.
Delta's outbound international passengers no longer required to scan their passports or carry a ticket.
It's pretty simple. You walk up to the kiosk, tap facial recognition, the camera recognizes your face from your passport photo already on file and checks you in. When you check a bag, no need for a passport or a ticket. The camera recognizes your face again. By early next year, your face will be your boarding pass for TSA. Same process for boarding a flight. Facial recognition, and I'm on the plane.
Nobody wants to stand in.
Technology has now ran amok and has caused the judgment of humanity. Repent now and get closer to God, for tomorrow's not certain.